Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Week 4 of the NFL Contest Show. I'm your host, Jesse Flynn. Well, we had a much more positive week in Week 3. We went 4-1, so that was much better than the previous week. Moves us to a record of 9-6, puts us at 60% on the season, and we were so close to getting that 5-0. If only San Francisco could have maybe gotten an opportunity to kick a field goal on those final two possessions, we may have gotten that 5-0 week and hit the dead money media parlay. But we got another opportunity. It's Week 4, and we want to try to go 5-0 every week. This week we've got some interesting matchups. The NFL schedule. We've got a couple of games between some marquee teams, and then we've got a couple of games with some real stinkers. But just because they're bad teams doesn't mean there's not an opportunity to find a winner there. So we just got to look at what's available, see what the lines are, and try to find the 5 best games for Week 4 of the NFL season. So I've gone through and I've picked my 5 games out for this upcoming week. So let's get into it and see what 5 games I like for Week 4 of the NFL season. So the first game that I like is the Tennessee Titans plus 3.5. Going over to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. The Colts, they won against the Chiefs last week, but that was not a very good performance by them, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. And they needed a bunch of mistakes by the Kansas City Chiefs just to get that victory. And they were in total desperation mode to get a win, or their coach might have been looking for a new job. And as far as the Tennessee Titans, they've had some tough losses this year. They almost blew the game last week, but I think they're a much better team than the Colts all the way around. I think they're coached better. I like their running game. Tannehill's not been the greatest quarterback, but he hasn't been terrible. They got to get their wide receivers a little bit more into the game, but so far they've been looking pretty good. They looked good last week. The defense kind of let them down, let the Raiders get back into that game at the end, but they held on for the victory. And I just think that the Colts, there were a lot of hype for them coming into this season, and I wasn't very high on them to begin with. I didn't even have them making the playoffs, and they're starting to show the team that they really are. I think Matt Ryan is well past his prime and needs to hang it up. He's a detriment to the team. They really don't have very many wide receivers besides Michael Pittman. They've got one rookie in Alex Pierce and a bunch of guys nobody really even knows who they are. They're pretty much dependent on the run game, and their offensive line hasn't been very good. And now it looks like Jonathan Taylor might be dealing with a foot injury that made him miss the first practice I guess he's ever missed since going all the way back to high school. So for somebody who's been that durable to have to take a day off of practice must means that injury must really be bothering him. And I think it could affect them in this game. The Colts defense has been kind of good against the run, but they haven't really faced a team with a running back like Derrick Henry. And I expect to see a heavy dose of the run game by the Tennessee Titans to try to muddy up this game, try to maintain control of the ball and set up some play action passes for Ryan Tannehill to take some shots down the field. And I just think Tennessee Titans, they're a much better team. They're better coached. And Mike Vrabel, he likes to play these kind of close games, get it to the fourth quarter, make it a one-possession game, and try to steal it at the end. And with it being 3.5 points, just over a field goal, I think even if the Colts win, I don't think it'll be by more than 3 points. So getting that hook, I'm willing to take it, but I think the Tennessee Titans have a real shot at winning this game. So for my first pick, give me the Tennessee Titans plus 3.5. So the second game that I like is the Minnesota Vikings minus 2.5 taking on the New Orleans Saints. Now this game's going to be played over in London at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And apparently, according to Action Network, the home teams, the home teams, if they're favored in these games that are overseas, are 9-0-1 straight up and 7-3 against the spread. So that's a pretty good trend for them. But really, I just think the Vikings are a much better team, particularly on offense. It looks like the Saints are dealing with a bunch of injuries right now on the offensive side of the ball. Jameis Winston was hurt last week, and we saw how bad he was in that game. It hasn't gotten any better, and now they had to fly all the way across the ocean to go play this game in London. And I don't think it's done any good for his back, because he hasn't practiced at all since they've been in London. Now Michael Thomas hasn't been practicing. Jarvis Landry hasn't been practicing. Alvin Kamara's on the injured list. Taysom Hill's on the injury report. So, I mean, they're just decimated on the offensive side of the ball. And it looks like it might be Andy Dalton going for the Saints, which I don't think is a downgrade compared to how Jameis Winston's been playing, but I don't think it's going to do them any good if they don't have anybody for him to really throw the ball to, other than Chris Olave. The Minnesota Vikings, they were able to pull out the win against the Lions last week, but a lot of that had to do with the Lions coaching staff making some questionable decisions down the end of that game that gave the Vikings an opportunity to steal that one. But I do think they're a much better team. You saw what they did against Justin Jefferson last week. I think they had like triple coverage on him. So they're going to have to find ways to scheme him to get open so he can be the playmaker that he can be, particularly against this Saints defense, which does have a pretty good secondary, but they haven't been the Saints defense we're accustomed to seeing in previous seasons. And they haven't really been getting after the quarterback as much as they normally would. And I think that's going to play into for the Vikings. If Kirk Cousins can just get the ball out of his hands quickly and then use some of the screen passes to Dalvin Cook and Madison, I think they can really exploit this Saints defense. And, it's under a field goal, so I think they've got a real opportunity to win this game. But the biggest part of it is the injuries on the Saints. I don't see where the points are going to come from against this Vikings defense. Even though they haven't been the best, they've got some good edge rushers on the Vikings defensive line, and I think they'll be able to get after whatever quarterback's back there and make them make some mistakes. With Jameis Winston at quarterback, the Saints are averaging 3 turnovers a game, so that's just not sustainable to winning football. So I just think the Vikings are a better team. They're much more healthier. They're the home team overseas, which gives them a little bit of an advantage analytically wise. And I just think this is an opportunity for them to get right. And I just think the Saints are still in a transition phase with their new coach. Even though I was pretty high on them at the beginning of the season, actually had them making the Super Bowl, I don't think that's a possibility now that I'm seeing the actual product on the field. So for my second pick, give me the Minnesota Vikings minus 2.5. So the first game that I like is Arizona plus 1.5 heading over to Carolina to take on the Panthers. The Arizona Cardinals haven't got off to a very good start this season. They lost last week against the Rams in that game. Even though they tried to make a comeback in the end, it just wasn't to be. But they did hold the Rams to only 20 points in that game, so that was pretty good. Particularly, for a Rams team that normally puts up some pretty good points. In Carolina, they won their game last week, but I think it might have cost them because Christian McCaffrey hasn't practiced at all this week and not really sure if he's going to go. If he's not in this game, that's a big blow to the Carolina offense. I think it could definitely be a determining factor on who wins this game. I think Arizona, they haven't been able to score very many points in the first half of the games. And Cliff Kingsbury, their coach, talked about how he wants to really focus on getting off to a fast start. So I think we could see a different motivated team come out to start this game. And if they jump out to an early lead, I just don't think Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers are really built to try to play catch up, particularly if Christian McCaffrey isn't out there for them. As far as some of the stats go, like Matt Rule as a coach, as a favorite, I think he's only 3-10 against the spread as a favorite, while Cliff Kingsbury as an underdog is 19-9-2 against the spread. So that's a pretty good record. And I guess against Super Bowl losing, or coaches who've never won a Super Bowl. He's actually 9-0-1 against the spread. So he's good against mediocre coaches. They're just not good when they have to play upper level competition. I don't think the Carolina Panthers are an upper level team. Their defense has played okay, but they've let bad teams like the Giants beat them. So I just don't think they're up to the challenge when it comes to a team with the firepower that Arizona has. Now, they haven't shown it too much, but they're also a team that's getting into the flow of things, with them not really playing their starters very much in the preseason. So now that we're going into week 4, we should start to see a little more cohesiveness from some of these teams. And I think this will show up in this game. Carolina, they're expecting some rain from these storms, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a factor in this game. So I'm not really putting too much emphasis on it, but I'll keep an eye on it to see. And I don't know, this game could get swapped out for something else if I think the weather's going to be a big factor, but at this point I don't think it's going to matter that much. I think that Arizona, they're in a situation where they've really got to either get right, or they're probably going to be looking for a new coach at the end of the season. And the same goes for Carolina, but again, the biggest factor in this is whether or not Christian McCaffrey plays. If he doesn't play, I just don't know where the points are going to come from for Carolina. And I think Arizona will be able to pull this out. And with them getting 1.5 points, it's basically a coin flip game. And I just think they've got the better opportunity to win here. So for my third pick, give me the Arizona Cardinals plus 1.5. So for my fourth pick, give me the New England Patriots plus 9.5, heading up to Green Bay to take on the Packers. This line jumped significantly when Mac Jones got hurt. The look-ahead line for this game was -6. Now it's sitting at 9.5. In the contest, it's actually moved down to 9 at the Circa. But I just think this is an overreaction to Mac Jones being injured, because I don't think it's that much of a downgrade going to Brian Hoyer from Mac Jones, considering how Mac Jones has been playing during this first couple weeks of the season. Last week, they had an opportunity to win that game against Baltimore, but it was a late turnover, a late interception by Mac Jones on a poorly thrown ball that basically took them out of an opportunity of winning that game. And now, with Brian Hoyer, he's a quarterback who's been with this team for a while. He knows the system, and he knows what Bill Belichick likes to do. And I think Bill Belichick's these are the type of games that he really looks forward to. When he's going up against a team with a superior quarterback, like those games when they used to play Peyton Manning and the Colts, I think that he's going to look to run the ball as much as possible. He's going to set up in those 2 tight end sets and use those 2 pass-catching tight ends that they have, and line up Devontae Parker out there and, go for some deep shots when the opportunity presents itself. But I think they're really going to just look to keep Aaron Rodgers and their offense on the sideline by running the ball, milking the clock, dinking and dunking it down the field, not taking risks. If they got to punt, they'll punt. And they're just going to play the field position game and try to get it to the fourth quarter with an opportunity to win this game. Green Bay, their offense really hasn't been spectacular. I mean, they only scored 14 points against the Bucs last week. The Bucs are a pretty good defense, but so is New England. And I just think that, they're relying on the run game for Green Bay a lot more than they are Aaron Rodgers in the passing, because they really don't have anybody for him to throw the ball to other than Romeo Doubs. So I just think that Bill Belichick will have his team prepared for this game. I think he'll have a game plan that will keep his team in the game. As long as Brian Hoyer doesn't make any poor decisions with the ball, I think they're going to be able to keep this game close. And with it being 9.5, I just think that's a total overreaction to the loss of Mac Jones. And this is way too many points. It leaves the back door open for a late game touchdown that gets you within the point spread and ultimately doesn't end up costing Green Bay the game. So 9.5 points, it's just too many points for them to be given to a team, especially with a team that has the coach like Bill Belichick on the sideline, who knows how to get his team ready to play a game like this where they're going to have the backup quarterback, so they've got to rely on everybody else to step up their game. And I think they're going to do it. And they might even have an opportunity to win this game outright. If they can cause a couple turnovers by the by the Green Bay Packers, they could walk out of Green Bay with a win here. But 9.5 points, it's just too many points to be given a team. So for my fourth pick, give me the New England Patriots plus 9.5. So for my fifth and final pick, I'm going with the LA Rams plus 1.5, going up to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Now, San Francisco and Kyle Shanahan have really had Coach McVay's number in the last few meetings of this matchup. I think he's won 6 in a row, including except for the playoffs. But these are different teams that are going up against one another. And the last few times when they played, the Rams were the favorites in those games. Now San Francisco's the favorite in this game. And we know that Kyle Shanahan is not a good coach when he's the favorite, ATS-wise. And I just think that we've seen a couple of good performances by San Francisco's defense. Obviously, their offense was pretty inept last week against Denver, though Denver's defense is turning out to be pretty good as well. But I also think the Rams' defense is pretty good. And the San Francisco's offense might struggle, whereas the Los Angeles Rams offense should be able to put up points in this game. I think that with Cooper Kupp, and now they're using Skoronski out of the backfield as a fullback / tight end / wide receiver, it's kind of creating mismatches in their passing game, and it's opening up different areas for Jefferson and Kupp to get open in the passing game, as well as their tight ends. They haven't been great with the run, but if they can get the passing game going, it should be able to open up some running lanes, although San Francisco's been pretty good against the run. I just don't know if San Francisco's offense is going to be as potent as it has been. They lost their all-pro left tackle, Trent Williams, to a foot injury last week, and before he went out of that game, San Francisco looked pretty good with their offense. When he went out of that game, their offense really took a step back. They weren't really able to move the ball as much as they were before, and I think it's going to have a serious effect on their offensive output as a whole. Jimmy G didn't really look all that great. I mean, he made a couple of mistakes in that game. He had some turnovers. So we got to see if he's regressing or if it's just a one-off, but I just think the Rams are the better team here. I know that a lot of people are going to just look at the numbers and say Kyle Shanahan's beaten this team 6 times in a row in the regular season, so they've got the advantage at home. But I just think this is a different team, a different Rams team, a different offense, and I think Coach McVay's going to get his win in this series and start to change that outlook on this head-to-head matchup between these former teammates or coach mates. So I just think that the Rams -1.5 or +1.5. It's basically a coin flip, and I like their offense against the San Francisco defense, and I just think that the San Francisco offense isn't going to be able to put up enough points to keep up with the LA Rams. So for my fifth and final pick, give me the Rams +1.5. So those are my 5 picks for Week 4 of the NFL season. And now, the Dead Money Media NFL Contest Show Parlay. This week, I'm going to be taking the points with a couple of these teams because I don't want to get too greedy and go with the money line, even though I do think that both of these teams will be able to potentially win these games. I'd rather take the points and take the safe side. So the Week 4 Dead Money Media NFL Contest Parlay is the Tennessee Titans +3.5, the New England Patriots +9.5, the Minnesota Vikings -2.5, the Arizona Cardinals money line +105, and the Los Angeles Rams money line +105. Put those 5 bets together in a parlay, and it comes out to roughly 27.50, so almost 28 to 1. So it's not a bad payday if we can hit that 5-0 in week 4. We came so close in week 3. We went 4-1 and we just missed out with that San Francisco game. So maybe this is the week where we'll cash that 5-0 and hit that Dead Money Media parlay ticket. Well, it's almost time for week 4. I hope everybody has a great week. I hope you hit a lot of your bets. I hope you make a lot of money, and thanks for watching.